Okay, whereas now you are host.
Yes. You can forward, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are going to now, actually start our session. So distinguished guests, Professor Dr. V. Upadhyay, Professor Dr. D.K. Yadav, Professor Dr. Balwindar Singh Tiwana, esteemed colleagues, and valued participants. I welcome you all for today's panel discussion on Union Budget 2024, which is being organized by Jammu and Kashmir Economic Association. It is our second event as our, organization has been formed formally since last month. So let me share some, thoughts about our association, what we are going or what is our mission and aim. Our association is dedicated to foster economic growth by bringing together a diverse community of researchers, policymakers, and academicians to address and resolve economic challenges. Our focus is to leveraging research-based opportunities in Jammu and Kashmir and across the globe. We aim to ensure that students from marginalized sections, regions, have affordable access to participate in contributing to the better of our society. We are delighted to have you here to engage insightful discussions and collaborations. Collaborate to efforts towards a brighter economic future for all of us. As we are, touching today a crucial topic, the event is on Union Budget 2024. It is a subject of immense significance and potential for our state and the entire nation. As we all of know, that Union Budget 2024 has been presented by our Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman. She outlines strategic initiatives aimed at bolstering India's economic framework with notable provisions for infrastructure development. There was initiatives for MSME support, green energy, and social welfare program. Our objective is today to unravel the complexities of this budget and understand its implications for the economy of our state. So in our discussion, we will try to cover several critical areas, such as the revised income slab and their potential impact on individuals and businesses in our state. We will also try to touch the increased infrastructure investments, including the capital expenditure outlay, its implications for enhancing connectivity, economic activities in our region, and the initiative for, to support MSMEs and how they can foster local entrepreneurship and economic growth. The focus on green energy and sustainability, and how our state can align with these national priorities for long-term benefit. We will also try to touch through our panelists on social welfare measures, particularly those aimed at empowering women, rural communities, and their relevance to socio-economic landscape. We are honored to have esteemed, galaxy of panelists. They are having too much rich experience. They are with us today, who will be sharing their insights and help us to navigate the opportunities and challenges presented by this year's budget. Let us embark today on this dialogue with the aim of transforming potential challenges into opportunities, driving growth and enhancing prosperity of our state and our nation. So with these words, I am thanking you. Now I would like to, welcome Professor V. Upadhyay, who is currently working as SKD Chair Professor in Institute of Social Science, New Delhi. Professor V. Upadhyay was former Professor of Economics, Department of Humanities, and also Head of Department of Social Sciences, Indian Institute of Technology, New Delhi. His areas of specialization are economic theory, global political economy, development, economics, and Indian economy. Professor Upadhyay is having PhD and MPhil from MC Masters University, Canada in 1984. He has done Masters in Economics from University of Rajasthan, Bachelors of Science subject that are crucial subjects: physics, mathematics, statistics, also from Rajasthan University. He has joined IIT Delhi in 1985 to 2018. He has served with the Great Institute. He has also, visited IIT Kanpur, worked there. He has published more than 100 articles in reputed and national and international journals. He has authored, edited books more than 16. Recently, one of his, very renowned book, Global Political Economy, A Critique of Contemporary Capitalism, being first published by Ascar Publication, then Routledge in 2022. He has also supervised more than 28 PhD theses. He has sponsored and consulted research projects more than 9. Has served head and former department of, steering council of World Association of Political Economy. With these words, I welcome to our esteemed guest, Professor V. Upadhyay, for his opening remarks about Union Budget 2020. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me to share in discussion on this very important topic of Union Budget of this year. We have seen that a lot of reports actually in newspapers and everywhere, in TV debates and so on. There are certain actually features which people are trying to highlight, especially related to the situation of employment. So at least actually one thing we can say that this government has realized that how serious is this problem of unemployment, especially for the youth. Even the government data says that the youth unemployment is very high, although, the numbers we get from the various data sets actually we have in our country, they have definitions of employment, unemployment, which are very lax. So in that sense, they do not truly capture the severity of the problem. The actual problem we have in our country is the problem of underemployment. In the sense that, for example, suppose we talk about agriculture, which employs 45% of our labor force. Now, what do we mean by employment? So anybody working there, whether getting paid or not, so many women put in their services in agriculture sector and so on. But either they get very little wages, low wages, or they don't even get paid. So in that sense, if we just look at the numbers given by the CLFS survey and so on, they tell you, okay, the rate of unemployment is 6%, 7%, something like that. And they also tell you that, okay, the participation rate in the country is slightly more than 50%. But there are other data sets, for example, CMI data set, which tells you that the participation rate is not that high. It may be in the range of 40 to 45%. So suppose you use some definition of employment which is slightly strict, meaning that who do you call employed? By government data set, anybody in the CWS survey, that is weekly, current weekly. If somebody says, okay, he has worked even for 2 hours, so then he will be counted employed. Similarly, suppose you take the larger UPSS data. So there, suppose somebody says, okay, they worked for 1 month. So in this sense, that whether they are doing any productive job or not, they are getting anything paid there or not, they are, what kind of job is that? Mostly very casual kind. And even suppose they get paid, the pay wage may be so low. So these are some of the difficulties. But in any case, now the government says, okay, that they have come out with several schemes for employment in this particular budget. So very briefly, I mean, we have next round actually, we can go a little bit in more detail. So some couple of schemes are there, which are basically wage subsidies. One subsidy is paid to the employees. So for example, like for first timers, wage subsidy of 15,000 rupees. Similarly, there's another wage subsidy that is paid to the employees and employers. That is 24%, up to 24% of 25,000 and so on. Basically in manufacturing. But there's other support also. They are supporting employers, whereby the government will pay 3,000 rupees per month for EPFO contribution. And the government is also setting up several industrial training institutes. But one very crucial scheme, which has been highlighted by everybody and so on, by government ministers and all the people who have been talking about this scheme. There is one scheme actually that applies to 500 top companies, whereby internships will be subsidized. In the sense, the government will pay for 1 year 5,000 rupees per month, and if there's additional expense, so then that will be covered. 10% of it actually will be covered from the CSR fund of the companies, these big companies. Now, there are a couple of very important points here. I mean, we should look at actually. First of all, even the government is admitting, ministers are admitting, that this is not a direct job creation scheme. Basically, they are providing incentives to the companies that if people, so then either subsidy or this money for internship that will be paid, but it does not really tell us whether these jobs will be new jobs or the regular jobs, regular hiring for as interns, which companies normally do. So suppose the companies are having interns or they are hiring, and they do in a regular manner. Like every year they hire people, they have interns. But now they will be get paid actually. So who is benefiting? So basically this is the companies who are benefiting. So we are basically subsidizing the companies. We are either lowering their wage cost or the cost of training, internship, and so on. In addition to that, actually there are several conditions are also attached to these schemes, that somebody has to be in job for 1 year and so on, they undergo some other kind of programs and so on. So these are the basic issues, that incentives are being given, but if companies don't do new hiring and they show their regular hiring and collect money on that basis, so that will not only actually do nothing for the employment situation, but also will benefit these companies in terms of reducing their wage cost or the training cost. So this is like one point I want to make in the beginning, and we can have rounds like let other speakers come, and how much time it permits, 2 or 3 rounds, whatever. So we can go on later on talking about other issues in the budget.
Thank you very
Hello?
much, Professor. Yes, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing the inputs about what actually is their employment sector and what they are playing with on the name of initiatives and all. So these were the opening remarks from Professor V. Upadhyay. Now I would like to introduce our new panelist, Professor Dr. Balwindar Tiwana. I am actually honored to introduce such a great personality with us today. He is a distinguished economist having more than 26 years of teaching and research experience. He is from one of the reputed institutions he has served, namely Punjabi University, Patiala, Professor Tiwana holds MA, MPhil, and PhD degrees in economics, along with an LLB degree also. He has earned him, significant roles, including Vice Chair of World Association of Political Economy. He has also served Director of Planning and Monitoring at Punjabi University. He has authored 5 books and published more than 50 research papers in Esteemed journal. Professor Tiwana work has garnered international recognition, including Distinguished Achievement Award of World Political Economy of 21st Century. He has presented at numerous global conferences, including at the International Labour Organization in Geneva, and led major research projects on critical issues of India, like that of farmer suicide, rural employment issues, rural employment schemes. His academic pursuits have taken him to prestigious institutions in China. He is an active member of several professional bodies, and he is also active member of several professional bodies. Professor Tiwana's contribution is significantly in agriculture economics and political economy, have significantly advanced our understanding of these fields. With these words, I would love to call Professor Tiwana, to share his opening remarks about the crucial topic of Union Budget 2024. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Firdous. And I am also thankful to J&K Economic Association to organize this panel discussion on budget. You see that there was interim budget in February by the same government. Now this is the full-fledged budget by this government. So to understand this budget, first we should read the economic survey of 2023-24 to understand this budget, this budget is what and what the economic survey says. Both are the documents of the government. So when we talk about, okay, I am not talking about the growth rate, it may be 8.2%, earlier 9%, then decline to 7%, whatever, yeah, and the inflation. So when we pinpoint the problems, as Professor Upadhyay, unemployment is one of the problems, then agriculture crisis is another problem, then inflation is there. So you can pinpoint these are the problems. Now, so the first thing is that if you admit that these are the problems, then you will solve those problems. If you are not admitting these problems, then the problem is a problem. You can say itself. So when we talk about this survey, it also admits that there is a problem of unemployment. Let's see, understand, in the economic survey. So they said that, okay, total employment grown during 2013-14 to 21-22. There is a decline, there is only increase of 32 lakh only. When economic survey, you go in the figures. And as there is definitional problems as explained by Professor Upadhyay. And you see that in itself, when we talk about the data, from where you can say that, okay, what is the problem, what is the quantum of the problem. So then itself, there is no objective analysis of agriculture, industry, and services regarding the employment and unemployment. They stopped this NSS in 2017-18, which was started by PC Mahalnovis. The survey. So according to all these annual surveys of industries and others, when you talk about the situation between 2015-16 to 2023, then there was decline of 54 lakh in employment in manufacturing. So then there was increase in trade and services up to some extent. Then there was total decline during this period, 16.45 lakh. This is the admission of decline in the employment, you can say, in these sectors. So this way, when we talk about, they said that there are two sets of, you can say, hits. One is that there was bad debts of the banking system, and secondly, high corporate indebtedness. This is their statement. And third, COVID pandemic, even in this economic survey. So when we talk about this one, then in this economic survey, what they said, there is increase in the corporate profit, like anything. It has increased 14 times. You see, during the last, nearly you can say, 2021 to 23, 24, 4 times. And what is, you see, the description? The description is that the corporates are swimming in the profits, the corporates. This is written in economic survey. So when this is there, this is one thing that, okay, there are too much huge profits earned by the corporates. Then we are tackling this unemployment problem. So what is the report of ILO or Institute of Human Development, which is released some months ago, that 80% of the youth is unemployed. So this is the case that, okay, at least you are admitting directly or indirectly that unemployment is the problem. This is the one thing. Then you can talk about the initiatives through training, skill, unemployment, payment of this contribution in EPFO, all those things you can talk about that. That you have to admit that there is a huge unemployment. And then on which you are now taking on which you are relying to solve this problem. How to solve this problem? Every year, there is entry of 80 lakh new workers in the labor market every year. And you have this program for 5 years for 4 crore youth, you see. And, so then your problem will not be solved through this subsidy if you are not recognizing that there should be increase in demand. So to solve the unemployment problem, you are totally bowed down before the corporate sector. And what you are saying that they will watch their self-interest, the corporates will watch their self-interest, so they will hire the people, they will increase the employment. This is a very idealistic advice to the corporates. Now, those who know how the corporates are working, we know that whenever there will be profits and all that, they will employ. If there are no profits, and another thing, there is a decline in the real base. There are so many studies. When you talk about the real base in the rural areas, there is a decline even in the urban areas of the workers. So if there is profits by the corporate that much, when you admit, then what is your policy to make the investment? Investment is stagnating. Then you are talking about the foreign investment. You have given 5% concession, use the tax on foreign companies by 5%. This is one thing I have to highlight. This is one. Secondly, when we talk about the agriculture, when we talk about agriculture, we are talking about Viksit Bharat, and you see till date, I have read so much about Viksit Bharat, and I started from where this concept has come, and this fixation of year 2047, that this is, what do you mean by Viksit Bharat? By per capita income, by total production, or anything else? This concept needs to be elaborated in detail. What do you mean by? Otherwise, somebody is saying that, okay, the economy will be of $35 trillion. The other is saying it will be of $40 trillion. then your chief economic advisor say, oh, no, 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 it will be $18 trillion. Now, what do you mean by this Viksit Bharat? And there is a lot of confusion for me, at least. I do not know for others. So, in that Viksit Bharat, what will be the situation of agriculture? So, you see, in case of agriculture, in the economic survey and in the this budget, even there is no admission that agriculture in crisis. They're saying there is no crisis in agriculture. There is no crisis in agriculture. That we are spending enough money in agriculture and we are giving MSP. The farmers are asking for MSP C2. And what the budget is saying that we are paying this MSP on 23 commodities. So when you are not looking for all these problems that they are writing that, okay, agriculture matters for any nation. So the farmers are also important for India. So, but when you talk about the subsidies, I have this, you can say fertilizer, food subsidy. Due to the paucity of time, I will not able to, you can say, give a detailed analysis. When you talk about the budget at a glance, see the page 13. On, this is also important. When you talk about this budget, you must see the old budget also, the budget of last year. What happened? What was the total budget? Less spending is there. And on which schemes you have reduced the expenditure. So you can see when we talk about Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, there are less expenditure. When you talk about Krishonati Yojana, less expenditure. When you talk about National Youth Mission, less expenditure. There are so many. You have reduced all those pro-people schemes, the less expenditure. You can see. I have this list in this budget of 70 or 90, and there is lot of, you can say, and even on education, what was your budget? You have spent less. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana in rural areas, what was the budget? 54,000 crores. What was the expenditure? 32,000 crores. When you talk about this Manrega, there was budget of 60,000 crores. You spend 86, and the same budget is here now. There is no increase in the minimum wage rate. And when you talk about others, in the you can say SC, post-matric scholarships. When you talk about Uttar Shiksha Abhiyan, then less expenditure. Health or education schemes, there is less expenditure in the last. So what was the last year's budget? The expenditure is less. So what is there? That health or education, that is, you can say, such topics you can talk for a long time, but I am coming to this focus on agriculture. So earlier there was agitation by the farmers. Now, what is the allocation? That is 1.52 crore in this budget. That is only 3% of the total budget. As fathers have said that 45% workforce is working in the agriculture. So when we talk about this irrigation, food security, food inflation, all, if you are not increasing the budget, and what is the data that from this 1st January till date, at least 1,300 farmers have committed suicide. And in this budget, there is nothing about the agricultural labor. In case of agriculture, no mentioning of the agricultural laborers. And only thing is the Manrega, the same allocation when we talk about. So you can see that when we talk about this, another thing, that the external debt of the government is increasing, internal debt is also increasing. And now presently, from where the fund will come, the 27% from the borrowing. Through borrowing, you will get 27%. So this is the case when we talk about where is the capacity. One thing is there that, okay, you are increasing the capital expenditure. The main thing is there when you talk about the food inflation that is too high, the living of the people is, you can say, under very much strain. So to increase the income of the people at large, when you talk about the aggregates, a lot of things are missing there or hidden under the aggregates. So when you unfold the aggregates, then you will find so many things. So to tackle the unemployment problem, to tackle the, you can say, food inflation, or the reduction on the subsidies to tackle those, even on the food security, when we talk about, or fertilizer and other things. So what is the case? There should be increase in demand. This is the funda. That to increase the demand, there should be more expenditure by the government. There should be increase in the employment. And one thing that, okay, you can give through subsidies something. And secondly, you can increase the wages of the people already in employment through increase in the real base. And thirdly, you can create new employment through demand increase. And your domestic demand should increase. Foreign investment is not coming. That is stagnant for the many years. Even to increase the domestic investment, you have to need so many initiatives. So this is the case, how to increase the domestic demand, to increase the employment, and to increase the income of the people, and to see what is happening either through the government or through the private. So this is the issue when we talk about this present budget. This is my preliminary comments on this budget. Thank you.
Thank you for Professor Balwindar Singh Tiwana has highlighted, especially great pointers for research scholars, young scholars. They have to understand post-economic survey. They have to understand first the data, what government is presenting, and then we can have critical evaluation of the present budget. So he has rightly pointed out that we cannot make comments in the air. We should have some data fact, and he has highlighted those pointers that what are the crises in agriculture, and also what is the previous budget and where they have increased it and where they have decreased it. So it remains a constant budget. So output will not be too much in that way. So all the participants try to understand and have some critical questions about this. Now I am going to introduce our third panelist, my mentor, Professor Dr. D.K. Yadav. Dr. D.K. Yadav is having MA, PhD degree. He is also professor at Department of Economics, Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow. He is holding his PhD in money and banking and financial institutions. He has done his PhD from Allahabad University. He is, active member of Indian Political Economic Association and Indian Econometric Association. He has published papers in Springer, that of Elsevier, Routledge, and other Scopus Index journal. He is having rich experience of 15 years of teaching and research. His areas of research are money and banking, public finance, and econometrics. Under his guidance, he has supervised more than 6 PhD students and more than 10 MPhil students. So with these words, I would love to, invite Professor D.K. Yadav to share his opening remarks on Union Budget 2020. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Firdous. Am I audible? Yes, Firdous?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me to share my opinion on this very important topic at present, that is on Budget 2024. Let me first express my gratitude to the organizers particularly the Jammu and Kashmir Economic Association and Firdous Ahmad Malik for inviting me. See, this budget 2024, or for that matter, any budget of previous years is very important for economy. And as a student of economics, we must be concerned what is going on and how government is going to manage the microeconomy of our country and what is its direction of the policy. See, when I was looking the budget and I was thinking about different provisions made by the government, and when we have listened to finance minister and different ministers of the government, then they are appreciating the budget, quoting different points, different provisions they have made, and opposition is totally rejecting the budget. There is a no, as such, it is Kursi Bachao budget. Then I was searching where is the academia, where is the academics, what the people are doing. Then I was very much disappointed that the opinion of academia in large is being ignored. This is the responsibility of academia to give a balanced approach of the any policy decision, any policy matter. Unfortunately, since last 5-10 years, the opinion of academia is largely being ignored. And I think this is not good for the society. This is not good for the country. Because this is the center where we develop the rational thinking of the society, and this gives direction to the society. If we will not accept the viewpoint of academia, viewpoint of intellectuals of our society, this is not good for the society. I think Firdous Ahmad Malik has taken very right initiative by inviting very learned professor on this platform of Jammu and Kashmir Economic Association, listening professors like Upadhyay and Professor from Punjabi University. Actually, it is very much learning for me as a person. See, I am also of the opinion that government is very much in very much mood of denial. Government is not ready to accept the problem of the economy. There is a problem of inflation, there is a problem of unemployment, and it has been also expressed by the people in recent general election. Many, what was the performance of the ruling party last time? What is the performance? So people are also expressing their concern through their voting pattern. But unfortunately, even today, government is not ready to accept that our economy is in crisis, and we are our economy is in very bad position at present. Particularly, if we see at the point of view of unemployment and inequality, then they are increasing time by time because government is not taking corrective action in that direction. And see, in economics, as a student, we have been taught that government make policy, particularly fiscal policy, according to the prevailing economic condition. If economy is in recession, then we have been taught that government will make an expansionary fiscal policy. And if the economy is in expansion, then government take this kind of contractionary fiscal policy. But since last 4 or 5 budgets, see, we are at the peak of the recession during this global pandemic. Our economy has contracted by more than 25%. Even then, I have observed that government was emphasizing on fiscal prudence. What is the need of this kind of policy when we are under recession and unemployment is at it's extreme. So I don't think why government is making such kind of policy. What is their interest? Because government is for the public interest. When there is a unemployment at peak and inflation, particularly this consumer price index is in double digit, why government is not accepting these facts, these realities of our economy, and why government is not taking corrective action in this direction? This is the peak time that government should have announced certain expansionary measures for increasing the income of the people. When the income will not increase, how we can expect that our economy it will expand? Government is much emphasizing on the expansion of economy through the technology, through this artificial intelligence. I have listened that the finance minister was emphasizing on this role of technology and artificial intelligence for removing inequality in the society. I was very much, I could not understand how, because of technology, inequality is increasing in our society. Artificial intelligence, these are used for those countries where population is decreasing. But in countries like us, like India, where population is increasing day by day, and we are saying that in every year one Australia is adding to the in India. So how this government is emphasizing of the role of technology and artificial intelligence for removing inequality in society? What I have learned and what we could understand that due to technology, due to this artificial intelligence, inequality is increasing very rapidly. But government is arguing in different way, and as a honest academic, we need to highlight these points. The government is going in wrong direction. Though I also accept that there are certain good points, good initiative taken in this budget 2024. The first good point which I would like to highlight, that was also highlighted by Professor Upadhyay, that first time they have accepted the problem of unemployment, and they have met certain initiative in form of internship of 1 crore student in top 500 companies with a stipend of 5,000 rupees per month. But implementation part will be one very important factor that we have to be curious, we have to be conscious because in past government has taken several initiatives in different budgets, but at present when we look their performance, then it is in very bad position, starting from financial inclusion schemes to this skill development schemes, and several other initiatives were taken by government. But when we review their progress, then we find that the development is very not very encouraging. Similarly, another very good initiative taken by government in this budget is this Aadhaar linked land record and its digitalization. I think it has a great scope in future, particularly if we think in terms of this expansion of credit and monetization of the economy, because it's still our rural economy is very much under monetized, and their assets and their economic activities are not fully monetized. And when government is taking this kind of initiative to linking land records to the Aadhaar and assigning a particular number to the land records and digitalizing it, then people can use these assets for credit purpose and use those credit for the expansion of their economic potential. And through I think this is a very good initiative. It will help to the rural economy, and I think it will also help to the banking institution to extend the trade facilities to the rural areas. I think that this is a very good initiative taken by the government. Uh, but I am also very much concerned with certain other points which have been also highlighted by the other panelists. That see, the first very important point is that government is much emphasizing on the fiscal prudence. And as Professor Tiwana has already highlighted, the expenditure on certain very important item is declining year by year, particularly the expenditure on health, education. If we, in absolute term, it may be increasing, but when we see in proportion to the GDP, it is continuously declining. The expenditure on health, the expenditure on education, and similarly, expenditure on other very important item related to the social sector is decreasing. And this is a very important point of concern. Another very important point is see this point of inequality, which is largely being ignored. See, inequality is increasing very rapidly. You know, the kind of facts which we are listening that 1% people are owning more than 50% asset of our country, and then this inequality is increasing day by day. Then what the initiative government is taking to bridge these gaps? See, if we see the taxation policy of the government, since last 10 years, people are waiting that government will take certain initiative, particularly by increasing the tax exemption limit, by other measures. See, I personally feel that this government is emphasizing much on new tax regime, and government is ignoring this old tax regime which have certain provisions of saving and incentives. Why government is emphasizing much on new tax regime where there is not any provision of tax saving? I think in long term it is going to be very much harmful for our economy, because you are abolishing those channels through which you can control the economy. You are going to reduce the effectiveness of the fiscal policy instruments. See, through these different instruments, government try to control the expenditure of the people. But now what you are doing through this new tax regime kind of policy? Now there is not any role of people who are investing in housing sector. There is not any role of people investing in different financial schemes. I think these are certain points which are very important concern for the society and academia. But I think this is the role of academia to highlight on these points, and I think the government should take note of this. Please, I finish my opening remarks. Later on, I'll also discuss if there will be other points. Will come in discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor D.K. Yadav. As you have, highlighted that where academia is and what is missing in the discussion and dialogue. They are, totally missing after COVID-19. Big universities, I will not hesitate the name, just like, Punjabi University, Patiala. There is not any, conferences, workshops. I was getting, opportunity during my PhD and MPhil, engaging with the institutions, visiting to attend conferences and learn from great professors who are, also our panelists. The system is, it is actually missing. There is not, such conferences or public policy schemes, debates and discussions. They are all missing. So it was a great, point to discuss it. And people who are having authority, heading the department, they should come forward and they should organize, such type of, conferences. Now let us put, opening question for this panel discussion. But meanwhile, I will also encourage the participants, if they are having question, they can, raise their hands. But let me, put the, first question to our panelists. Our first question is, as the major allocation for education and skill development in this budget, which is totally, declining, education budget has been declining. How rational is this decision? And how we can, think about employability and address the skill gap in our state? How rational, the question is, how rational is to declining the education budget, and how we can think about employability and skill development? So over to you, Professor Upadhyay.
Yes, as I talked earlier, actually, this budget has not really talked much about the education sector as a whole, but they have talked about, okay, setting up some these industrial training institutes and so on, and also some emphasis on skilling, through this program of internship and so on. So these are some of the things, but as I mentioned earlier, we don't know these will be, new persons who will be giving these opportunities, or same people, and then benefits may only go to the companies for whatever they are doing in a regular manner and so on. So these are some of the things. May I actually, mention a few points that about the things which have been mentioned by other panelists, like there's one very big issue about data scarcity and so on. For example, we recently got data from RBI saying that in last 4 or 5 years, we are creating 2 crore jobs per year. But on the other hand, actually, economic survey comes out with another set of data saying that we are in a crisis. We need 80 lakh jobs per year. So survey is admitting, okay, that we have to create. RBI says, okay, we are already creating 2 crore. Then what is the problem? So these kind of issues are there. Survey is a little bit more responsible in the sense of admitting a few things. Even in terms of FDI and so on, they say, okay, we should open up the Chinese FDI, which we have been trying to restrict and so on. But similarly, there's no census for now, and we don't even know actually when new census will be done. So we can't even say, okay, what is the life expectancy in the country right now? We recently got a report saying that due to COVID, life expectancy may have decreased by 2-3 years, but we don't know. So we can't say about anything about population with certainty, about the literacy rate, life expectancy, about so many things are here. The question of disparity is very important. Professor Yadav mentioned it. And coming G20 meeting, Brazil is coming up with a proposal saying that there should be tax on billionaires, 2% and so on. So why doesn't our government take such initiative? Why don't they say something like that and so on? We know that the top taxation rate in our country is only 30%. Most of the countries, especially advanced countries, have more than 50% top rate of taxation. Recently, some time ago, actually, we reduced the corporate rate of taxation. So look at actually, about disparity. This survey says, okay, that the stock market is really creating a class of such speculator, wealthy people who are unduly benefiting from these activities. And they were even warning people that the investment that they're making in the stock market may be too risky and so on. So these are the issues. And one dimension more, this regional question, this budget seemed to have, given more emphasis to a couple of states like Bihar and AP and so on. And there also, there was so much talk about religious tourism, about temples, renovation, roads, and so on. The regional disparity question is very important. Now, the gap between the wealthiest state and the poorest state is really very, very high and is increasing over time. So these are some of the other issues, which we should mention when we are talking about discussion the budget. And one more point, like demand, as Professor Balwindar was saying, companies, our own companies are not investing. So they know much better. They know that, okay, economic condition is not good. The demand is not there, especially in the rural areas and so on. So government may say anything about growth rate, 8%, having, okay, 7 to 10% in coming 20 years, 30 years and so on. But reality is not hidden, especially from our industry and so on, who are not investing. So this question of increasing demand, I mean, that is one of the most crucial things that is required to revive real economic growth in the economy, to increase the real wages of people.
Okay, we would like to take your pointers from Professor Balwindar Singh Tiwana.
As I was talking about reduction in budget, there are two very important schemes of the Center for Education. I give the data. So the first one was there, that Pradhan Mantri Shiksha Abhiyan. What was the allocation during 23-24? 1,500 crore. What is the expenditure? 500 crore. You see, the last, not now. And then you talk about this health scheme, Pradhan Mantri Ayush Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission. What was the allocation? 4,200 crore in 23-24. What is the expenditure? 2,100 crore. Half. What are you talking about? Health and education. There are so many schemes under this name, under the name of Pradhan Mantri, and there is allocation and there is no expenditure. This is the paperwork when you talk about what is the outcome. And secondly, when we talk about this growth, our economy, when you read the economic survey, then your whole focus is that you want to learn from China. What China has done. China has done during 1985 to 2015. So we can become that Viksat Bharat economy at the 5 number or 3rd number. So what is the structure of China? What is the administrative or other? You are not bothering about that. So it means on the one side we are criticizing China. On the other side we are trying to learn from China. And when you talk about the per capita income, and moreover, when we talk about the indicators, what are the indicators of HDR, Human Development Index? What is that is going down. Hunger Index, when we talk about. So you can take international indicators. So we have to improve that. And one more important thing, that many schemes, when you talk about the case of this Andhra Pradesh, that you will have this allocation of, not the allocation, you see, what, not the allocation. I have this finance minister's speech. What is written? That recognizing the state need for a capital, we will facilitate special financial support through multilateral development agencies. What is this? They will arrange the loan to Andhra Pradesh. In the current financial year, rupees 15,000 crore will be arranged, with additional amount in future years. So you will arrange, you will facilitate the loan. The same is the case with Bihar through PPP mode. There are so many, you can say, hidden things when you talk about. And one more thing, that when we talk about this finance commission, in many cases, the center is asking for the support of the states. Without states, you cannot be Viksat Bharat. They are saying there should be cooperation, coordination, everything. Now, yesterday, most of the opposition-led states boycotted the Niti Aayog meeting, and Mamata Banerjee left in between. Where is the coordination? So you need the coordination. If the states will develop, if the states will provide the employment, create the employment, if there will be increase in production, there will be increase in investment, then you can develop as India. What is the concept of India? Then you have to this federal cooperative system. There should be, you can say something. Now, in that context, what is there when we talk about the finance commissions? Now there is 60 finance commission now working. So when we talk about the 14th finance commission recommends 42% of the union tax to states. 15th finance commission recommended 41% taxes should be shared with the states. Now, what is the gross tax revenue shared with the states presently? 32%. And see, very, very strange data. When you talk about surcharges and cesses, the union government is not sharing with the states. That is not shareable as per the law. So in 2009-10, the total collection of cess and surcharges was 70,559 crore. Listen carefully. And what is the collection in, what will be the collection in 24-25? 7 lakh crore, 7 lakh crore. But will not be shared with the states. This is the, at the will of the union government, share or not share. What is the estimate? The accumulative collection from 2009-10 till this 23-24, what is there? 36.6 lakh crores have been collected by the center. This is not shared with the states. So from where the states will do the work, when you talk that, okay, there are centrally sponsored schemes, many in education, in health, in employment as Manrega, then the states has to put their resources in. If they have the resources, then that scheme will be successful. Otherwise not. So practically, when we talk about this coordination and sharing of the sources, so then we should have good fiscal federalism in India. The government must think about that how we can do that. And with the priorities, if you see, you will provide 10 lakh loan to the students to take admission in the domestic institutions. What it means? What is the level of fee in the educational institutions? Who will control the fee? You are not investing in the education institutions. You are a question. You are giving whole area to the private sector, and the fee is hiking like anything. So then you are providing the loan, okay, for domestic. For outside, they are getting the loan from the bank. And many students are not able to pay back that because they are not getting jobs in Canada. So there is a problem. And now when we talk about health, then okay, either you start the scheme or you start any other, you can say some subsidy or anything else, or insurance companies can mint money, and there are private hospitals. There is no social control, no social accounting of those hospitals. That is too much costly. So when you talk about the farmers or agricultural laborers, and what is the situation in the agriculture sector, what is the situation of unemployment, what is the rate of inflation in the food, in case of food commodities, then what will be the life of the common people, you tell me? So these are the questions must be addressed by the government. At least they have admitted that there are problems. They started some schemes, but those schemes will not work till there is no increase in the domestic demand, when there is no increase in the purchasing power of the people. You can do, as Professor Yadav was saying, digitization of land records in rural areas and urban areas. That is good thing. when you talk about the inequality, that is too much. No, that index, and from 2002, 2003 till date, the the increase in inequality is the highest in India. You can check it. And when we talk about that report by the poverty institution, then you can see. So in this case, the government should focus on pro-poor policies, and there should be twist in the policies to increase the unemployment, to increase the real wages, then to spend more on education and health, to save the expenditure of the people, to increase the demand in the market. And there are so many issues within the health sector when you talk about the prices of the medicines, and other things. In every hospital, you have the shop of the medicine. They charge the full rate. There is a price 1,200, and in the market you can get of 300. They will charge 1,200. So many issues. If you save that money, then the people will demand in the domestic market. How to increase the demand in the market? How to increase the purchasing power of the people through employment, to reduce their expenditure, out of pocket expenditure on education and health, and to provide them education to get employment. All these things are important when we talk about this budget and the policy structure of the government. Thank you.
So let's take question from Professor Dr. Rohan Singh. You can unmute yourself, sir, and you can ask a question. Professor Rohan Singh, your hand is up. If you are having any question, kindly ask. I think Professor Rohan. There is Amir
Hello?
Ahmad.
Sir.
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Kindly go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the panel discussion. I was a last minute joiner. My name is Dr. Rohan Singh. I'm from Chandigarh University. I will quickly get into 2 points, which I guess it's related to us, academician. What's the lowering of budget of UGC education and the R&D, research and development budget. That's the two main criteria which are hitting the, I guess, the academicians, the institutes. And another thing is the second point is the income tax of the salaried person. As per the data, last year, only out of 140 crores of Indian population, only 8 crore people has filed their income tax. And so the people who are the salaried employees who are actually filing or compelled to file income tax, they are paying double taxation in the form of income tax, direct tax, and as an indirect tax, GST, and other taxes which are required. So 90%, 130 crores or eligible, ineligible, whatever the number comes, these can be an agenda for future discussions, that this double taxation and the number and the lowering of budget of educational institution or UGC direct and R&D sector. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so you have shared your remarks. It was not a question. So let us move to Amir. Amir has his hand up. Amir, if you can quickly jump with your question.
Good evening, everyone. Myself Amir Ahmed Teli. I am a PhD scholar in Department of Economics, Central University of Tamil Nadu. First, it was a pleasing experience to get insights from experts in the field. I have some points to raise here. It's nice to see that government has realized that they need to take advantage of demographic dividend. Some focus has been given in this budget on employment, skilling, MSMEs, Mudra and all. But there is not much to be proud of. Recently, I was going through a study which says that India is achieving much lower growth rate than other countries like China and other states. other countries which were passing through the stage of demographic dividend. So India has to realize that it has to face the challenge of looming aging population in 2040s, 50s. According to ADB estimates that in 2030s and 40s eras, India's GDP growth is expected to be decreased by 0.53% due to rise in dependency ratio. So keeping these things in view, we should focus more and more on employment related issues. And then there is one more evidence that as I am working in this employment sector, we were estimating employment elasticity for India. Here we find one interesting thing that although India's employment, there is nothing wrong with India's employment elasticity. But what is more wrong is with structural transformation employment. We are here having more than 50% of workers in agriculture sector. We need to transfer them to industrial and services sector. Although the employment elasticity in services and manufacturing is positive and it's appreciable, but decreasing or even negative employment in agriculture makes it look worse. So India is actually not witnessing a case of jobless growth, but it is the transformation of employment that makes it look like so. So the concluding point is, if India has to transfer its workers from agriculture to other sectors, it has to face low employment elasticity till all the laborers in agriculture sector is transferred to other two sectors. So your insights on this, sir. As a student, I am not much expert in this field, but these were some realizations from my side. Thank you, sir.
Professor Balwindar Singh, can you counter or share your point?
Yeah. I want to comment on both these speakers. One is that when we talk about the income tax payment, that depends upon your capacity of earning. You can say salaried person cannot avoid tax. But when you are distributing free food grains, 5 kg only, to 80 crore people, you can see what is the situation you yourself admitting. And secondly, there should be more tax, as Professor Upadhyay said, in many developed countries, that is 40%. If your income going up, that after 15 lakh, you would leave it, 30%. If your income is 1 crore, if your income is 2 crore, then why not 40%? What is the wealth inequality and otherwise inequality, income inequality? You see, that is too much income inequality. As Professor Yadav was talking about the inequality, why you are not taxing the corporates who are swimming in the profits? This government is saying they're swimming in the profits. Why are not taxing more? So there should be more tax. There should be more allocation to the education and health. And secondly, when this Mr. Amir was talking about, you read the economic survey, what the economic survey is saying, that time has gone. When you are talking about there will be shifting of people from agriculture to manufacturing and services, government itself is saying that this time has gone. Now, where to create the employment? That this model, Lewis model, when you talk about of transformation, they are indicating that, okay, now whatever the private sector will do, and then they are just begging before the corporate sector, okay, you create the employment. So you should not what they're talking about in the initial speech, you can say at the very outset of this priority. The first priority is productivity and resilience in agriculture. So they are giving more weightage that, okay, the people should remain in agriculture. For this, we are doing this, and 1 crore Kisan, natural farming, this and so that. So they have no policy here in regard to how to shift people from agriculture to industry, clear cut. What they are saying that, okay, the educated people, what is the ILO report saying? That 80% of the educated people, young people, 15 to 34, 80% are unemployed. This is the report. What is the definition of employment? That is different, as Professor Upadhyay was talking about. So, if this is the case, then what you can say that what do you think about the policy initiative should be taken by the union government? There is a huge shift. You can say there is a significant. There should be significant shift in the policy paradigm. You are appeasing the corporates, and what is the contribution of in taxes? The income tax contribution is 19%, corporate tax is 18%, and inequality is that much. And there should be, I suggest that in this budget, in the future budgets, there should be different demarcation that which sector is contributing how much tax. That agriculture sector is contributing how much tax revenue, then manufacturing is contributing how much tax revenue, and services sector is contributing how much tax revenue. And then you can have the percentiles. What is the contribution of the most rich people, 1% or 10%? And what is the contribution of the middle class? And then you can come to some policy lacuna, and to correct the policy paradigm or to change the policy, then you can have some clue. The data problem is there. The government itself is admitting that there is data problem. Then how to make the data reliable and how to collect the data, this should also be, you can say, corrected, and the initiative should be taken to correct this. So I think rightly pointed out education and health, and then income or income tax. The worry of the people, and you can say the inhibitions of the people are right or correct.
So there is one more question in chat box from Sabi. Sabi, can you unmute and ask directly the question? Sabi S. Sabah. You are there, kindly ask a question directly. So if you are unable, so I can on your behalf. This I don't know what is your gender, but it is writing. Given the emphasis on the infrastructure development in the budget, what strategies are in place to attract private investment while ensuring that public resources are utilized efficiently to maximize economic impact? So if Professor Upadhyay can take this question. So he is saying about infrastructure development and what strategies are there in place to attract private investment, and how to ensure public resources work efficiently and to have maximized economic impact.
You are asking Professor Upadhyay?
Yes,
Okay,
Professor Upadhyay can hear.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, as we have talked about earlier, actually, that private investment is not coming. Okay, there is investment on the part of public sector, especially in roads and so on. But nowadays, actually, they don't set up factories and things like that. They used to do earlier during the earlier era of planning. Planning they have given up and so on. So the whole point is that actually they rely on private investment that will respond to the situation and so on. But as we have been looking at earlier, given that there is not enough demand, there is no income, especially in rural area. People live, I mean, on household income of 8,000 or less and so on. So many people in that sense. So these are the questions. Unless people have purchasing power, somehow they have jobs and so on, then this question actually about job that has been raised about demographic dividend and so on. Like one data I would like to add here is that there's something called need. Neither in education, neither in employment, education or training. So this number is about 10 crore. I mean, so many people, I mean, you find they are not in jobs, not in school, colleges, not under training. So this is the kind of situation. We will lose this benefit of demographic dividend in coming, like whatever number, 10, 15 years and so on. But the whole point is that unless we can provide job to our youth, I mean, there's no point talking about getting benefit from this demographic dividend. One more point, I mean, there's no point talking about 2030, 2040, 2047. These are senseless exercises. At best, actually, you can talk about, okay, coming 1, 2, 3 years and so on. Nobody really knows what's going to happen after 10 years, 15 years. Things are so uncertain. So these exercises are just to fool people, especially actually fool young people, I mean, who go to colleges and schools and so on. They get excited about this. But there's no basis for such projections, for such estimations about income levels in 2050, 2047. We should not, I mean, get too much confused about these issues. Actually, we should focus on coming 1, 2, 3, 4 years like that. I mean, that is the most important.
So there is Saliha. Can you ask your question directly? We are having one hand, there. Dr. Jaskaran Singh, kindly, unmute and ask a question.
Thank you, Firdous. My question to the panelists. Sir, as we see that in the consecutive budgets, we have two points. In fact, they are celebrating these points. One is rising capex, capital expenditure, and second thing is declining fiscal deficit, especially after the COVID. But when we see these 2 points, we see the allocation in the public sector scheme is declining, as you all have revealed in today's discussion. And third one, that is, it is not reflected in expansionary fiscal policy, because there is a rising unemployment, as we have discussed today, but the profit of corporate sector is increasing. In one hand, government is saying that we are increasing the capital expenditure, and there is a decline is noticed in fiscal deficit. And how we should translate these two things, which they are celebrating: declining fiscal deficit and increasing capital expenditure. Anybody from the panelist? Thank you.
The increase in capital expenditure is not that high. I mean, okay, one good thing, okay, government is building roads and so on. These kind of things the government is doing. But that is the only thing. Private investment is not coming. So that is our main problem, because job creation will basically happen there. So if they don't see that people have any purchasing power to buy things they produce, so they are not going to invest. So that is, and FDI also will not come actually in such circumstances. So these are the issues. I mean, yours are mainly comments. So I don't think they require any answer to that.
So there is one question from Saliha. Can you ask that?
For this purpose, what the Jaskaran has talked about, that capital expenditure has increased. They are trying to increase the demand in the domestic economy. This is one. That okay, they are increasing, but that increase is not sufficient. Much of the capital expenditure is leaked to the outside country. You see, you check the processes when you talk about this expenditure, which companies are coming and which companies are taking that work, and what is the profit. From that profit are many things they purchase from outside. This is leak. This is one thing. This is commented by a very senior scholar. Secondly, when you talk about decline in the fiscal deficit, this is the trend in all the developed countries also. Austerity measures that to reduce the, under the WTO or IMF dictate, that to reduce the fiscal deficit. That's why you are reducing the expenditure on education and health, and then the subsidies, that the fertilizer subsidy, or even other subsidies. This is the, on the subsidies, what is the expenditure? 6%. What is the WTO says? You can spend up to 10%. So this is the case that, okay, for those you are trying to reduce the fiscal deficit at the cost of the people, and at the cost of the pro-people schemes, which can give benefit. There is no increase in the expenditure of Manrega. If you calculate the inflation, if you deflate the figures of this budget, in many cases, the expenditure is less than the last budget, if you include the inflation. So this is the case when you talk about, this is not contradictory. Both are in one side, that, okay, on the one hand, you are trying to increase the demand through your capital expenditure. On the other hand, what is the, you see, the capital expenditure is about 11 lakh crores. What is the net borrowing by the government? 11 lakh crores. Both are the same. You are borrowing from the market and then spending on the capital expenditure. And then there is a reduction in the pro-people expenditure, either on education or health or others. This is the case when we talk about this two process.
So there is question from Saliha. Can you unmute and ask directly?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'm very thankful for the valuable insight from experts. So this question is not related to union budget. It is related to exchange rate and the role of political economy in the exchange rate. So we are trying to assess the impact of exchange rate on real variables, but we are not getting any significant result. So I am asking, what is the role of geopolitical economy in exchange rate, in assessing the exchange rate of economies?
Okay, I mean, this question is, difficult to answer in a short period, but many things are happening which will have some impact actually in coming months or years. We have had actually some seminar on BRICS recently. So their proposals, okay, that increasing use of local currencies of countries involved like India, China, Russia, and so on. Also coming out with some alternative reserve currency. I mean, these are proposals. In the coming month of October, actually, there will be a BRICS meeting in Russia. So some decisions are likely to be taken there and so on. But as far as the current things are concerned, still dollar domination is still there, because the problem is that actually so far most of the assets people have wealth, extra wealth actually, which can be invested in currency markets and so on. It is still in dollar terms. So things are changing, but the pace of change may be slow, but it may actually accelerate if the countries of Global South, BRICS countries, SCO countries, and so on, especially countries which have a lot of money, for example, oil exporting countries, China, and so on, India also included. So if they come and have some mechanism of devising new currency payment systems and so on, so maybe in coming months, years, in 1 or 2 years and so on, we might see some drastic changes, possibility. Things may still go slow and so on. So dollar domination is still there. It's not going to disappear. But let's see what new things come up in the new BRICS meeting that is being held in Russia in the month of October. So these are that kind of questions actually of global political economy. I mean, we require a lot more time, separate probably a session on this particular aspect. not so simple to understand and explain so easily. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So let's take, now as, the global world is, burning with heat wave. This budget, let's try to understand how union budget has addressed, green energy and sustainability. What opportunities does this create for our state to, promote environmental initiatives? The other question is that how green and environmental sustainability will be maintained, and what are the opportunities with the state to promote the environmental initiatives? So anybody can, share their viewpoints about this question. How government is addressing green economy and what initiatives they are looking forward, to tackle the increasing heat wave.
Professor Yadav?
Actually, yes, anybody can, ask. And meanwhile, the participants, they can, have their questions, ready. So that we are, trying to understand that how union budget is going to address the environmental sustainability issues and how they will be promoting the environmental issue.
Very briefly, when you talk about this environmental problem, you see at the world level, there is conference of parties in 26th, then now the 29th, I think. So many developed countries have run away when Donald Trump ran away from Paris COP meeting to contribute. So this is not that simple problem of India. There is targets are fixed. So Indian government is also trying to move from fossil fuel towards electric vehicles, this or that. Then, but what is the problem when you talk about the corporate sector? When you talk about the attack on environment by the corporate sector for profits, the mining, when you talk about cutting off the forest, then you see the case of Brazil, what happened there with the Amazon forest, which is called as lungs of the world. There is. So this is not simply when you talk about the environment, what is happening now in Himachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand. When you talk about the floods, they have given some money to Bihar and Assam and these that infrastructure. So this is not that simple when we talk about the green economy, which is the more culprit in this deterioration of environment, you see. Which is the sector? Which is the production? This is the question. So then your consumption pattern, then your you see one simple question I ask that why you allow the motorcycle of 250 horsepower? Why you are allowing that? Why you are allowing the big vehicles? Why you are not saying that there will be no car more than 25 horsepower? Why you are not saying that? Why you are not developing the public transport? Why there are so many issues. When you talk about this expenditure by the people, rich people, how to make that expenditure, and the most serious attack from the corporate sector on the nature. And when you attack on the nature for profits, for mining, then to have industries, what is your policy regarding that? Then you change the law. There are so many changes in the law by the union government to pave the way for the corporate to invest in the forest areas. This is there. So there should be, that is the pressure by the international community and at the international forums, that you have to take these measures. What the serious question when you talk about, there is now a lot of discussion at the international level regarding this environment. And that if the environment is not safe, then humanity is not safe. So this is in the wider context, you can take what are the provisions of this budget. That too much. You see, China and India has denied that, okay, we will not zero fuel, fossil fuel economy. What is their target to by 2050? They said we will be there at 2070. That you have taken the advantage. Now we are growing economies. We have to take the advantage. Why you are putting a cap on us? Why you are hindering our development? There are so many issues. So this is the case. This is complex. But again, when you say agriculture, other, when you talk about the rivers, then this development process or this model of development, then certainly you have to talk about this environment, and to save the environment, you have to change the model of development.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there anybody having any question? Before we are going to, have last question. So I will give opportunity to participants if they are having any question. They can quickly jump or raise their hand. So now I am going to put our, panel discussion is last important question today. So there is someone, Sukriti Chopra. Please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Good evening to everyone. My question is that as we're talking about corporate sector, in union budget, government has dismissed the angel tax on startups, and they've announced that they will set up 100 industrial skilling units. So what can be the possible benefits of this, and what would be the drawbacks of the cutting of angel tax? Thank you.
So they have not addressed this question to anyone. Anybody, from the panelists, they can, try to give their. After further, you can share your.
Good. I mean, they're giving actually some relief to the corporate sector. They have given relief to the corporate sector earlier also by cutting the corporate tax rate and so on. But the point is that whether they utilize this relief to create more investment in the economy, job opportunities, and so on. So that is to be seen. They have also done a little bit about this capital gains tax and so on, from 10% to 12.5% and so on. There's also a lot of debate about this indexation of house property and so on, which and there a lot of opposition appears to be. Government might even change that policy if there's too much opposition. So these are some of the questions. The point is that, okay, you can give concession to the industry in so many different ways, but ultimate, test will come whether we find that they are willing to invest more in the economy or not. Because if suppose there are only moneyed people who have a lot of money and so on, if they're only interested in stock market investment, very risky derivatives and so on, so that is not going to benefit the economy. The economy will be only benefited when in actual field, in physical sense, you have investment, you are setting up new factories and so on, then only you have job opportunities coming up and so on. So this is the question. Okay, fine, relief is fine, but let's see what they do with that.
So now there is one more hand, Harjinder Singh. Now kindly jump with your question. Harjinder Singh, are you there?
Hello. Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
My question is to panelists is about the that new government, that the government is old, but even after the elections, the NDA government is again electing the new government. But the thing is that as we look at the previous elections, that they have lost a lot of constituencies in terms of the MPs. So my question is that when we look at the political sphere, then then we analyze the loss of NDA and all the things that the people are not happy about the past of 10 years or the 2 terms of NDA government. So but again, when we look at the budget, then we are not gazing any significant change in the allocation and the about the working of government. That so my basic question is that how the change in political sphere, that now we have a strong opposition and the government is weak, but again the government is following the same line of ideology and same line of policies in terms of budget allocation and in terms of all the working styles. So how we can understand these things, and the another question is that if the opposition make the government, the scenario can be different. That just imagine that there will be the different government, then will there be any significant change in terms of policies? That so this is the question from myself.
Actually, yes, please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
No, it's a comment, good comment.
Yes. Actually, if new government will come out, it is obvious that they will change the schemes and all. So they are eager to, come in the power and, change the system. So let us have, final question of the discussion. The final question which I want to address the panel, that is about, budget specially to aim to empower women and marginal communities. How these initiatives, can drive socio-economic development in our state. Empowering budget for women and marginal communities, how it can help to develop socio-economic conditions of the India. Dr. D.K. Yadav, sir, is there. Sir, you can share your comments if you are not busy.
Yes, Firdous.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
So I think as we have discussed, I feel that government is much emphasizing on expansion and efficiency, and government is ignoring the welfare aspect of the people, particularly the redistributive aspect, which ensure the justice in the society, welfare of the common people. I think most of the resources, as we have seen, nearly 50 lakh crore of budget have been announced by the government. And as a question raised by last participant, kind of allocation which have been made, that most of the allocations are being given to the pro-capitalist kind of things, and where common people, the interest of the common people is being ignored. And I think as he has rightly pointed out, the kind of this political result, the mandate which new government has got, I think that though the people have voted against the policy of the government, but not in that extent. Accordingly, government is also making its policy that they are revising their policy, but not up to that extent. They had come to the, that recently announced internship kind of thing. Still, we have to wait for next election, and if the ruling party is defeated in different states, I think they will come to the employment issue as well, this problem of unemployment. And I think, see what is happening in terms of the resources which are being distributed. See the people from the lower strata if we see even we see the middle class, lower middle class. So government is taxing too much from them, and they are moving from middle class to lower income class. This is a new trend now. The middle class is in very much pressure, under pressure for fulfilling their basic needs also, because government is taxing too much and giving very much less. The government job is reducing, pension is not there, everything is, government is taking away from them, and taxing too much, direct and indirect taxes. In the last 10 years, if we see this present ruling government, what they are doing, you know, they are taking away their resources and giving very much less to them. So their real income is decreasing. Similarly, if we were talking about the women and this marginalized section of the society, actually, see, they are very much dependent on this middle income class, and if their economic position is declining, I think it is not going to help them. And the kind of several policies which government is emphasizing, that we are supporting to the marginalized section of the society, like this this Pradhan Mantri Ann Yojana, and then this Awas Yojana, and toilets, and this health scheme, and all those. What I feel that again, see, at the ground level, we have done several studies. We have found that there is a very huge gap what the government is claiming and what is the ground reality. For those you yourself have studied this Mudra scheme, and you have seen what is the claim of the government and what is the ground reality. Like government is claiming that we have reached nearly 30% of household, and at the field when we go, we found that even 3% people are not accessing the scheme. So how this government is claiming, and where their benefits are going, and how they are managing the data, this is the very big question that we have to look into. As a researcher, this is our responsibility. Raise question to the government. This is the kind of gap which is existing in your claim and the ground reality. I think that concluding the whole discussion, I feel that until unless the common people are not in the center of the policy making of the government, will continue to realize this kind of policy, because government is much emphasizing on the expansion and efficiency of the economy, and they are very much ignored about the welfare of the common people. So I think this is the major reason why we are observing this kind of policy, and until unless there will not be any drastic change to keep the policy to the in center the welfare of the people. Until unless the welfare of the people will not be the center in the policy making of the government, will continue to realize this kind of policy. And I think that still our political system is not ready for this kind of policy. This is all about your question.
So let us move to Professor Balwindar Singh Tiwana to share his final remarks about today's budget. Especially they are talking about women empowerment, and or section they are lot of allocation and yes.
I have already talked about education and health. When you see, as Harjinder was saying, to change the policy orientation, there is a lot of need to be done by the common people, by the farmers, agriculture workers. So either there are so many issues when you talk about the opposition and these elections, and certainly these elections have indicated that, okay, whatever the policy you are pursuing, people are not happy with those, and there should be change in the policy framework. This is the pressure through elections. And when you talk about the unemployed people and others, a lot of, you can say, pressure may be built by on the government by the farmers or by the unemployed people or so many other sections of the population. And when you talk about this women empowerment, so there is no specific, you can say, gender budgeting in this budget. I have not seen that there is a concept of gender budgeting. And then another thing, how to tackle this issue of unpaid work by the women in the houses, and how to then there is some increase in the women employment, where that is not too much when we talk about. So to empower the women, you need certainly the fundamental changes in the structure of the society and other things. Even you see, when we talk about the 16th Finance Commission or others, there is no census of 2021 on which basis we are calculating all those things, even in regard to women. And what is the actual ratio, female ratio in the society? You do not know because you have no census until date, and there is no effort by the government to have the census. So, and then the same thing is there when the people are asking for the caste census. If you have that census, then within that census you can have the caste-based census. So there is a lot of things you need when you talk about the women empowerment. There are economic issues, there are social issues in that. So simply to give some incentives to the women cannot lead to that development when you compare this India with the developed countries in case of women empowerment. So there may be some initiative, but that is not significant that way. When you talk about the inheritance of the property, that related to the social issues, when they are doing work, unpaid work, how to count in this economics and how to compensate those women. So there are many issues when we talk about. So certainly this is the budget of 48.20 lakh crores. When we talk about our economy is about 300, what is the figure? More than 300 lakh crores presently. When we talk about $5 trillion economy, and I do not know, there is no talk about the $5 trillion economy by 25. And in this budget, at least, what the growth rate you need for that $5 trillion economy by 2025 and doubling of the farmers' income, this or that. So certainly the government should think about education, health, drinking water, environment, and employment, and farmers and agriculture workers. How to increase the income, real income of the common people, to expand this economy, to increase the domestic demand. These should be taken into account. This is the budget is presented. And you see another thing, there will be discussion on the budget, then there will be passing of the budget. But now it is the, you can say, I do not know. Okay. After the discussion, there is any amendment in the budget, then if the same budget will remain, whatever you present in the parliament, and there is no change after discussion, but the opposition is saying democratically you are not considering, then what is the fun in that case? That, okay, democratically, if the opposition is saying something relevant, valid, then you should count that into the budget, and you should amend the figures. You should amend the budget. So I hope that after taking all this discussion, all these writings in the newspapers, everything, and what the opposition is saying, if India, you know that this is a democratic government, and under this democracy, then the government must consider the suggestions of the common people, academia, then the opposition, And if there is a requirement of any amendment in the budget, that should be made and then passed.
So we are now, taking final viewpointers from Professor Upadhyay. before we conclude the session.
Yes, I mean, both Professor Balwindar Singh and Professor Yadav, they have summed it quite well. I mean, unless there is serious concern on the part of the government to do something, I mean, to take steps actually which can help common people, that obviously includes women and the marginalized communities and so on. The government talk about these things, actually they say 4 pillars. Out of those 4 pillars, the women are there, the poor are there and so on. But what actually, I mean, we saw nothing much really other than, okay, saying some announcement that they will have some working hostels for working women and so on. I mean, there's new data which is being floated, okay, that women's participation rate has increased from around 20-25% to 30-35%. But that may not really be giving you a very correct picture in the sense that, as we were talking earlier, that most of this increase may be reflecting this change in the sense that people have moved from towns and cities back to the rural areas, to the agriculture, where they hardly contribute anything. But when somebody asks them, okay, are you working? So they say, okay, yeah, we are working. But that may not add to production or anything. They may not be getting any payment for those things. So these are the issues. So basic issues are that this election, I mean, was there where issues were raised and they made impact also, especially this question of youth, unemployment, question of farmers. I mean, so everything contributed in that way. This Agniveer, those kind of issues. And also, I mean, there were other issues like people were fearing, especially the marginalized communities, that if this government gets too many seats, then they may change constitution, they may change the reservation things and some basic fundamental changes in the constitution where, I mean, you take the whole country toward, I mean, some religious theocratic state and so on. So at least, okay, people expressed their views, they came out there and they were successful in some sense that the fear they were having, and that fear made them to go out and vote and express their opinion on many real issues, although the ruling party tried to divert the attention by bringing this communal question here and there and so on. But people realized that there are other issues, unemployment, question of unemployment, question of constitution change and so on. The basic nature of our democracy where everybody is equal. You can't really make anybody second-class citizen and so on. So this is good sign. But I mean, unless people come out more, for example, this farmers question is still remaining MSA question, guarantee of that. So these are there. So unless young people, farmers, laborers, and so on, I mean, youth, educated people, they come out, I mean, and demand things and so on, demand change in policies. So only then you can have some change. You can hope for that.
So thank you very much, all the distinguished panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are concluding this insightful panel discussion on the Union Budget of 2024, I would, formally like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our distinguished panelists for their valuable contributions and expert insight. Thank you to Professor Upadhyay, Professor Balwindar Singh Tiwana, and Professor Dr. D.K. Yadav for sharing your deep understanding and perspective on the various factors of the budget. Started from Professor Upadhyay that how inequality and how they are, playing with the figures of employment generation, concept of internship and jobs. Then Professor Balwindar Singh Tiwana, the data, check with survey data and what is budget, what is allocation, and what is utilization, giving previous references. Then also highlighted the wage rate is declining, and again, farmers, what is given to the farmers, which is totally missing. Then finally, Professor Dr. D.K. Yadav, he has shared his viewpoint that academia, dialogue, conferences, the reporting, that is totally missing. So these were the opening remarks which we have learned in today's discussion. The analysis which all the panelists provided us with a clear understanding of the potential impact and the opportunities by presenting this budget and on it discussion on it, particularly in the context of the India's state economic landscape. The knowledge and experience you have shared today with will undoubtedly help us to navigate the complexities of the union budget and harness its provisions for the benefit of our community and the economy. Especially we have learned great input as a young scholar that where we should concentrate, how we should learn about the budget. I would also like to thank all attendees for their active participation and thoughtful questions. They have engaged the discussion and they have made the dialogue really fruitful. Your engagement has been crucial in making this discussion meaningful and productive. Once again, I am very thankful to the panelists who have at a very short notice accepted the invitation on behalf of Jammu and Kashmir Economic Association and provided their valuable insights. We are continuously looking forward to these important conversations, and we are also planning. Let me announce we are planning young scholars to share inputs on the budget, because we believe that working together towards the economic growth and prosperity for our state and for our community will help us to achieve personal goals and will really provide us the opportunities to work for the community. So with these words, I am thanking once again, but I would take the opportunity to request all the participants if they can open their camera so that we can have a group photo. And meanwhile, I have not given you the opportunity. If you are anybody from the participants wants to share their viewpoint, they are welcome to share. Anybody having any question? Meanwhile, I am taking the photograph. So it would be better if everyone are able to open the camera. So I think non-participants, I will take 1 second more. I have to hide the non-participants. Yes, those who are able to open the camera, we can wait few seconds. We can take a good photo. So we have done the photo session now. So again, to the participants, there are only few participants. We have announced that we are going to receive the articles on the budget and will be publishing as a blog articles on our website. And we have given the time of 1 week. We have shared on our Facebook page, on our LinkedIn page, also on our WhatsApp groups. So you are encouraged to share the inputs about health, women, empowerment, infrastructure. So thanks once again, Professor Upadhyay, Professor Balwindar Singh Tiwana, sharing your valuable time with us.
Thank you very much.
Sir. Sir, you want to share your Professor Balwindar Singh Tiwana, sir, you want to share something? So you are mute, sir.
This was the nice discussion and good panel and good effort. We are thankful to J&K Economic Association and for this initiative. Best wishes.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. So now we are concluding, all the participants, they can leave, and we'll be sharing soon the recording on our YouTube channel and also via social media. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for organizing this session.